That's audio, and this is audio. I think we should both be audible.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode, I guess you could call it, of Bingo-thon's Get Yourself Bingoing series, the series where we invite people who, I say invite, but where we take people who really haven't done bingo all that much, or at least bingo of these games all that much, and have them play bingo for largely one of their first times. Um, Great for beginners or intermediates or even experienced players. It's just fun to play bingo. And we put them all in a big race against each other. Today we have Super Mario Odyssey, even though I think the layouts say Pokemon Emerald.
Why does it do that? I updated it. Oh no.
That's the wrong thing. We can deal with that once we get things on the road here. Um, Also, the timer is not reset. Did we just use the wrong
I don't know.
node CG? I don't know. Regardless. Yeah, so today we have Zet, Pika, Rob, I have already forgotten who else. We have Yosher and Rexy joining us. They are getting ready to play. We may have a sixth person come join us eventually, TM, but we'll see what happens with that. I believe our runners are all ready, so without too much further ado, let's get ready to start a countdown and get this show on the road, I guess, as we also try to figure out tech.
No, this is going great.
Why wouldn't it go great? Who would have expected anything less from us?
Oh, I don't think any of the colors are right, but that's fine.
Oh, oh, great. Here we go.
This is great.
Okay, so the timer is correct now, but yeah, so for people who have not done or seen Get Yourself Bingoing before, this is functionally going to be played as a blackout bingo. Our runners, I believe the way the scoring works is they are awarded 1 point for every goal that they complete, and they get bonus points for bingos, I believe, and possibly even an extra bonus for blackout. But depending on what type of bingo you're playing in Odyssey can really, really influence kind of the way you play. We're playing the normal variant of Odyssey Bingo, which means that our runners may only need to go to, at most, one of Snow and or Seaside Kingdom. I do explicitly see a Seaside goal on the board, which means that they're going to... I see an explicit Seaside and an explicit Snow goal, so unfortunately this board does mean they have to go to both Snow and Seaside if they are going to go for Blackout. A little bit unfortunate, but that kind of is what it is. Typically, you can get away with one or the other in Odyssey Bingo, but sometimes you just get a board like this that requires both explicitly. Sometimes you get some that are kind of implicit, where you have kind of the group goals and they just don't work out. So yeah, thinking kind of about what bingo for Odyssey looks like. The beginning is basically just an any percent speedrun. Our runners are going to try and get to the Cascade Kingdom pretty much as fast as they can. They're going to go up and around and fight Hopper for the first time. There's not really anything to do in Cap Kingdom on the first visit. And in general, there's very few Cap Kingdom goals in the bingo set, at least for normal bingo. I'm scanning the board again. I looked at the board a little bit before this to try and figure out kind of what runners are going to probably do, what I would do on this board. If I was going for lines, I don't really know what I would be doing for lines yet. I would need to think a little bit about it. But some fun goals that I'm seeing and some good synergies. What is that? Column 3 has some good synergy with 7 moons from Nuts and 5 checkpoints in Wooded. Nut moons are pretty much exclusively Wooded Kingdom. So those 2 goals are pretty synergistic on their own. And then there's a bunch of regionals and then the sub-areas from Metro. 10 moons from sub-areas in Metro is a bit of a doozy of a goal. It's one of the more complex and game knowledge-y goals. In terms of kind of what playing Odyssey Bingo looks like, movement is pretty much king. Routing is second, but very close in my opinion. You can out-route a player, but if they have better movement than you in the route, and like the routes and the timings are at least close, you will get out-played pretty much. Just because you can lose so much time so rapidly to movement in this game. And I think that kind of seeing our runners here, different movements and different experience levels. I believe Rexy is our most experienced runner that we have here. And then I think Rexy and Rob probably are our 2 most experienced runners. You can kind of see the time differential already between them, with them being through the first Story Moon and Cascade already. While some of our other runners are still just trying to get into Cascade out of the tutorial. Thinking a little bit kind of about what Cascade looks like. Typically in Cascade, if we were doing any percent, we would grab the first because we are playing on, I believe all of our runners should be playing on version 1.3, the most recent version, which means a lot of the tricks and stuff for like skipping the first moon in Cascade are patched. We would see runners typically do the first Story Moon, grab the dinosaur and do a trick called Dino Skip, where they're going to use the dinosaur to bounce off the bounce pad right here. And then uncapture in the air and trigger a cutscene to get to the top and skip climbing the mountain in Cascade. This trick is very prevalent in Bingo, just because this is the fastest way to complete Cascade. And even so, you typically want to just complete Cascade this way, unless you specifically need, like, 5... like 5 other moons from Cascade. The only Cascade-specific goal that I'm seeing on the board is 35 regional coins. Cascade is a small kingdom, which means there are only 50 purple coins, so they have to collect a pretty good majority of them. Unfortunately, I am not seeing any of the, like, collective goals for purple coins, which means that the purple coin stuff is pretty much all isolated. I see purchase 4 souvenirs, which is a good use of purple coins if our runners are up for it. But that's really about it. Oh, I do actually see a Cap Kingdom goal now that I see it. There's 10 regional coins from Cap, which is a pretty fast goal, but unfortunately going back to Cap Kingdom is really slow overall. So that would be a goal that generally I probably would not go after if I was doing line bingo, which unfortunately eliminates column 2, row 2, and the top left to bottom right diagonal. I actually do quite like the top left to bottom right diagonal. overall. A 9 story moons plus a world peace goal is pretty synergistic. And also checkpoints, because checkpoints are along the path of story moons. But that 10 regional coins from Cap Kingdom really throws a wrench into that. You could get 4 out of 5 goals in that diagonal in like probably 30 or 40 minutes with even without super great movement, you could do that pretty easily, I would think. The problem is then getting the 12 moves from Lost, because Lost Kingdom is a kind of difficult kingdom overall in terms of execution. You have all kinds of crazy skips and tricks that you might want to do there overall. Yeah, so I see Rexia in the Madame Brutal fight here, which is a pretty simple boss fight. We just gotta capture the gold chain chomp and then go after it, and then pull it out and hit Madame Brutal with it. And that will give us a multi-moon. Unfortunately, we don't have any multi-moon specific goals, it looks like. I'm scanning the board again because I'm seeing some more stuff. I'm seeing that we have 2 sub-area moons, or 2 sub-area goals from Metro, which is synergistic if you're going for multiple lines. Top left, or row 1 and column 5 have some multi-line synergies there. So Pika has reached the Odyssey. Rob is still trying to do Dino Skip potentially, or is he just going for coins? Zet has it looks like Rob is going for purples. Smart decision, he just needs to get 35. Zet has gotten an 8-bit moon. That's a very good decision in my opinion here. This is one of the easiest 8-bit moons to grab. 7 is kind of a big ask sometimes. If you have to go to snow, it's not that big of a deal. I would do probably this 8-bit moon. There's an 8-bit in early sand that's pretty easy to get. If you have to do sand world peace. So I believe there's 2 8-bit moons in sand along the world peace path that our runners could do. Brings them up to 3. There's a hidden moon if they want to go for festival in Metro. I would probably not do that on this board, personally. But it is a pretty easy one. I need the cheat sheet because I am forgetting where all the 8-bit moons are now. I don't have enough screen real estate to do all of this. Oh, I'm still trying to think about kind of what paths I would take. One of the really interesting things is that there is some really good synergy between sub-areas and 8-bit moons sometimes. The operative word here is sometimes, unfortunately. Let me find the 8-bit moons. So our runners could choose to get a second one here in Cascade that requires some sub-areas. I believe there's some purple coins in that sub-area, but it's not ideal to do that. Just because there's so many better. There's an easy one in Lake. There's a one in Deep and Wooded. If our runners end up going that deep into Wooded, that's essentially a freebie. I say freebie, but it's really not. There's one in Lost Kingdom, and you synergize that with 12 Lost Moons, which is pretty good. Yeah, so there's some options because our runners have to go to both Seaside and Snow. There are a total of 13 sub-area moons available. to our runners. Personally, I would get the easy one in Cascade and probably skip Dino Skip as a result if I was routing this. Then the 2 in Sand along the way to World Peace. I'd get the Notes Moon in Lake Kingdom, which is 4. I would do the one in Lost is 5. And then probably 1 in Snow and 1 in Seaside. The 1 in Snow and the 1 in Seaside, but you could also justify doing the Notes Moon in Metro pretty easily. Have any of our runners left Cascade Kingdom yet? I don't think so. Is Yosher going for Dino Skip? Dino Skip is an interesting choice at this stage. No, okay, I think Yosher's just looking for purples. Looks like Rexy is, in fact, going for the second 8-bit moon here. I don't hate the decision. It's not one that I would have gone for as, like, on my own, but to each their own. That's one of the beautiful things about Odyssey Bingo, is that there are tons of routing choices through the vast majority of the game. Tons of options for our runners, which makes it a really, really good bingo game. In my opinion, this is one of the best bingo games of the entire Switch catalog, personally. That's my opinion. I know that some people may have other opinions, obviously. I think just kind of the type of game that this is works phenomenally well for bingo overall. But also huge props to the bingo designer, like people who maintain the bingo board for this game and all the resources for bingo. We would not be able to do what we do with bingo without them. I don't have anyone by name, unfortunately, but it's a big community effort, of course. There is so much that goes into making a good bingo board. So, I'm going for this moon here. This is an odd decision, unless I am not seeing something on the board that our runners are. No, I don't see anything. Going back to talking about synergies, because there's a ton of synergy. I'm noticing a lot more synergies the more I look at the board now. That's one of the beautiful things about kind of the somewhat slow bingo start a lot of the time. I say slow, like the 5 minutes that it takes to get out of Cascade and for the game to really open up, options-wise, is that it gives you 5 minutes of what is basically static movement and like muscle memory to look at the board and analyze things, even though it's been 15 minutes and it's taken me 15 minutes to figure this stuff out at this point. Notes Moons, and so Notes Moons, sub-areas, and 8-bit moons are often really, really synergistic. Because there are a handful of 8-bit moons that are also Notes Moons. There's 8-bit moons in sub-areas, there's Notes Moons in sub-areas, so on and so forth. The definition of a sub-area is a little funny. Typically sub-areas have 2 moons, but I believe the formal definition is an area that when you return to it, Cappy will talk to you and say, like, that there are no moons left if you've collected all of them, and not all of them have 2. There are a small number that have only 1. I believe, which is really throws a wrench into things. Let's look at what the sub-area moons in Metro are. Again, real quick. Yeah. So Metro has 7 different sub-areas. The Notes Moon in Metro, unfortunately, does not count as a sub-area. Rob just got totally abused by that Koopa's shell. And if he's not careful, he might get hit again. He made it, okay. So there are 7 distinct sub-areas, each with 2 moons. Purple. I believe that is Rexy. So Rexy has collected 35 regional coins. Is there a Captain Toad goal? Yes, there are 5 Captain Toad moons. Oh god, that's a lot of Captain Toad. I would do Cascade, Metro, Lost. I don't even know, maybe? I have no idea what 5 Captain Toad Moons I would do on this board. I don't think I would do Captain Toad Moons. I think I would avoid row 2 and top right, bottom left. So the big catch with Captain Toad Moons is that there is 1 per kingdom. So that means you have to go to a minimum of 5 kingdoms that have Captain Toad Moons. And a lot of the times, if you're not going for Blackout in Odyssey Bingo, you are trying your absolute hardest to minimize the number of kingdoms that you go to. Which is where a lot of kind of these odd-seeming numbers come from for these non-kingdom specific goals. They're designed to force you to have to go to multiple kingdoms to complete them, but also have to think about kind of what kingdoms you're going to for them, because there are plenty of places where you could do more in a single kingdom and like get to 1 kingdom less, but maybe you have to spend a lot of time in the kingdom to advance to a point where you can actually do it or something like that. Alright, so Rexy is our first runner that we have seen enter Sand Kingdom at this point. Rob has done some timer challenges. There are 2 timer challenges in Cascade that are pretty simple to get once you get World Peace. This board, in terms of what Cascade routing looks like, is kind of unfortunate. Anything that kind of wants you to do an extended run in Cascade can be a little unfortunate sometimes, because you kind of want to get in and out of Cascade as fast as possible. Having 35 regional coins isn't the worst thing in the world, but then also having kind of souvenirs, timer challenges, and 8-bits kind of all on the board really throws a wrench into that, because the ones in Cascade are really... Oh, and Captain Toad are really easy, but they require you to spend so much extra time in Cascade, because Cascade only requires 5 moons to get out, and a lot of Cascade only unlocks after World Peace, after defeating Madame Brutal, which means that you've already collected 4 of the 5 moons that you require, and so you're really trying hard to minimize the number of moons that you collect. Not because collecting moons themselves are slow, but because you want to do the minimum possible to also complete the goals. I want to say at some point that I remember seeing that someone put together, like, a program that could take in a bingo sync board and use, like, the known data for the games and, like, how moons and stuff are categorized to figure out what the optimal path through a board is, which is actually a surprisingly complex problem from a computing standpoint. But I'm not going to be able to talk too much about that. I don't remember if that was a real thing or if that was just like a fever dream I had or something. But that's kind of the big thing about Odyssey Bingo. I've said that a couple times at this point, that it's all about kind of analyzing the board and understanding what is required of you. And what is required typically depends pretty heavily on what type of bingo you're doing. And since Forget Yourself Bingoing, we are doing... where the play style is playing toward Blackout. You play very differently in Odyssey than you would if you were playing towards a specified number of lines. Alright, so Rob and Rexy are both in Sand Kingdom now. So Sand Kingdom is probably gonna spend quite a bit of time in Sand Kingdom as runners. We want to get 40 regionals. We want to restore world peace. Our runners are probably going to want to get 2 8-bit moons here. The one in the first tower up towards the checkpoints, and then one on the inverted pyramid. In a non-beginner context for Odyssey Bingo, you might see runners suggest doing a pyramid clip here, which on 1.3 is can be very difficult to do. Odyssey has what's called roll cancel clips, whereby canceling Mario's rolling animation up against a wall with a cap throw, you can actually clip through specific types of walls. And the door to the inverted pyramid is one of those doors, which means that you can actually, while it's still on the ground, you can skip like the entirety of the storyline. And I think in this board specifically, you might want to. It's weird. There's no benefit to fighting the Brutal, or to fighting, I forget what the Brutal on top of the pyramid's name is. There's no real benefit specifically to fighting her, but there is an 8-bit moon through the inverted pyramid that our owners may want to get. And a lot of times it just makes sense to do that. One of the big tips that I gave the runners for this before they ran, and like while they were kind of learning up a little bit, if they chose to do that, is to at least be knowledgeable of what the moon routes for any percent are, because most of the time you're going to start with any percent as your basic route, because you're just going to want to, so the any percent route is the fastest route through each of the kingdoms, obviously, and you're just going to want to start from that as a baseline and deviate as necessary. I'm trying to think if there's anything else specifically that our runners are going to want to go for here. Where is the Captain Toad moon in Sand? I don't actually know that one. I've done a ton of Odyssey bingo, and I still don't know where a lot of things are. Oh, you have to fish up Captain Toad in this one. That's right. And the lake Captain Toad is the long, long swim that you gotta take. Got a nice rainbow of goal clicks over on regional coins from Cascade. I don't know who hasn't. Oh no, we only have 5 players actually playing right now, because our 6th player has not made it yet. Not made it to play at all, really. Pika is on his way out of Cascade. I believe he is the last to enter Sand, but not too big of a deal. We did have a handful of runners today say that they have not touched this game since, like, largely since release or for a very long time. So that is something worth noting. Rexy has done bingo before, and I think Rob did a bingo a long time ago of this, and a lot has changed since then, obviously. And this is not a game that you just magically stay good at. This is a game very much that you have to actively practice and play to stay good at. So Zed is coming up on the section that does have an 8-bit moon. Zed's actually closing the story gap on Rob pretty well here. So that's always pretty cool to see. It's worth remembering that looks can be kind of deceiving when it comes to Odyssey bingo, because there are some goals that are kind of long-term goals that players might fall behind in appearance for as they make progress on that, but then they'll suddenly snap ahead when they click a bunch of goals that took some long-term prep to deal with. Okay, so the boxer shorts are available in Sand Kingdom. I guess I'm trying to remember why I thought it was wooded, because we talked about this before the run, what the deal with it was. And you can buy it as early as Sand, I guess. I think maybe that it's easiest to get the coins for it by wooded, or in wooded. I'm not really sure. Sand is really easy to get a bunch of purples in, especially in these early sections. I don't believe 40 is quite that easy. I believe you have to kind of start to get out, but you can get like 15 or 20 pretty easily without even leaving Tostarena town. Tostarena? I don't know what the correct pronunciation is. Yosher going for the 4 purples in that section. Oh no, Rexy getting a low battery Joy-Con warning. A low Joy-Con battery warning. A note about controllers, just because it's interesting to talk about, is that any controller that you are comfortable with is viable for Odyssey speedrunning. There are a couple of niche things that Joy-Cons have an advantage for because Joy-Cons support down throwing, which is when you're in the air you can throw Cappy at the ground. Pro controllers cannot do that, but it is such a minuscule difference that I believe that generally most people just play on Pro controllers because that's what most people are largely comfortable with. But I know plenty of people who actually really like Joy-Cons, personally, like on an individual level. There's a lot of moons to keep track of. I don't actually know where some of our runners are in terms of story moons. We know that our runners will have collected the first story moon. All of them will have collected the first story moon in Cascade Kingdom. If they follow the Sand Kingdom sequence naturally, they'll get a story moon on top of the tower here. Where else will they get a story moon? Because there's 2... I think there's 1 more along the way. Again, I can just look at the cheat sheet, or I should just look at the cheat sheet before I start spouting nonsense that's not accurate. Yeah. Oh, Moon Shards. The Moon Shards moon is the last one, right? Forgot about that. 2 in Wooded, 2 in Sand. There's none in Lake, unfortunately. How many story moons do our runners need? 9? So, Metro is one of the best areas to get story moons because all 4 of the musicians are story moons, and then you also have the power plant moon. The power plant moon can be kind of long and slow. So can some of the musicians for that matter, but you can get some of the musicians really quickly. So fast, in fact, that some of them are used in any percent, or at least were used in like different any percent routes over the years. So honestly, I would probably get 3 or 4 story moons in Metro. Snow Kingdom also has... Snow and Seaside both also have a lot of story moons. They each have 4, despite Snow being a small kingdom, and that's because Snow's boss fights don't give multi-moons, and each of the door seals is a story moon. So that's a pretty easy way to get some story moons. The door seals, unfortunately, can be really slow. There are 2 in each section, but because our runners have to do both Snow and Seaside to go towards Blackout, there's not really any reason to not potentially rely on them if our runners feel comfortable making it all the way there. Judging on pacing, though, I don't know that many, if any of our runners are going to make it all the way. If any of our runners were closer to finishing Sand, I would say that there's a decent chance that they could make it that far out, but we are a half hour in, and I think at most one of our runners are like halfway through Sand Kingdom, so kind of is what it is. Like we said, this is an opportunity to get to, start bingoing. There's no pressure to, actually, do super well or anything like that. It's all about, the learning experience and having fun and getting started in bingo. Seeing some slick movement from Rob here, showing off a little bit of finesse with the game. Always nice to see. Like I said, movement is ultimately king in this game, as it is with many Mario games. I'm still totally blanking on what this Brutal's name is. Chat, does anyone know? Why am I blanking? I'm totally blanking on her name. So anyway, this boss fight is pretty simple. She drops like mines, I guess, like bombs. I don't know what you want to call them, out of her hat and throws them and attaches them to her hair and all that. You could speed up this phase of the fight actually by bouncing one of the mines on the ground up into her while she's in her flying saucer mode. And that speeds up that phase of the fight significantly. But now you get the big old bomb, and you just gotta hit it and spin it around back at her to deal damage. And good old Mario rule of threes, you just gotta hit her on the head 3 times. I will be really interested to see if any of our runners know the triple jump strat when we get to Lake Kingdom. There's a really pretty easy triple jump that you can do to skip the whole beginning underwater section before you get to the big section of lake. That pretty much every category does, even if they want to get those moons. Just because it is faster to like get a fish and go backwards in that section a lot of the time. So. I'm seeing our runners kind of individually do quite a good job of picking up the fastest moons in Sand. The Sand Kingdom 80% route is actually very, very intuitive in my opinion. It's also really easy to remember because you just draw like a zigzag across the map pretty much. Like, it's basically like a Z. You roll straight forward in Toast Arena Town, you do a couple moons there, you do like the ground pound moon, the bird, the one on top of the house. You go to the left, you grab the one in the dune, you get the one on top of the entrance to the ruins, you do a bunch of stuff with the bullet bills in the ruins, you do like Sphinx stuff, and that's pretty much it. So, pretty easy any percent route overall, and it's always really funny as a result of that because it's really easy to see, or it's really common to see people stumble upon, like, bits of the any percent route accidentally while playing the game casually, or essentially casually. I didn't talk about movement all that much. The fastest form of movement in the game is rolling by a pretty decent margin. I believe there are some niche cases where long jumping is faster. I think it has to do with like slopes and stuff like that, because slopes always have to throw a wrench into things, because why wouldn't they? And any controller that supports motion controls will allow you to boost while rolling, which is even faster. I believe it is specifically boosted rolling that is faster. And roll boosts are actually kind of critical a lot of the time for movement and in this game, because obviously this game has a lot of physics and a lot of like buttery smooth movement moments. And things like your actual speed and momentum while you are like getting ready to jump off of a surface matters significantly in terms of like how far you'll jump and stuff like that. Oh no, Rob took a death there. That's really unfortunate. But that said, Rob is showing off some pretty good movement knowledge here in terms of like using long jumps and cap bounces to skip significant sections of level geometry and stuff like that. And there's just such a big amount of knowledge in this game. Honestly, genuinely, knowledge is the single biggest barrier to entry in this game, in bingoing this game. There's a really, really good cheat sheet that the community maintains that has like all the information on what counts for what goals and stuff like that in moons, or in bingo, which is key to getting started. And even me, as someone who has done quite a few bingos and is pretty familiar with the game overall, forms a key part of my bingo routine just because there's so much information to forget or to remember. And you only ever use such a small fraction of it overall. I don't know who the first player to world peace is going to be. It's going to be either Rob or Rexy. I'm not sure where Rexy is at right now. But she should not be too far behind Rob if she's not ahead of him. But we'll see in a little bit once the layouts switch up and we see the other runners. Beyond kind of what our runners are going for right now, which is world peace. Oh, speaking of, Rexy just achieved world peace, so a little bit ahead of Rob. Basically, a knuckle talk fight ahead of Rob. I don't know where she's at on purples, but once you trigger Night Sand, you pretty much want to get out of it as fast as possible because moving around in Night Sand is awful. It is not something you want to do long term. Does Rexy have enough moons? No, she is 3 moons short and 6 purple coins short. So she's not quite ready to leave yet. Rexy is buying some souvenirs. That is smart. I forget what counts as souvenirs. Hang on. Now I gotta check that. Okay, so I believe that stickers and other things both count as souvenirs. It looks like. With 40 coins, you can get 3... You can get... The T-Rex... Oh, no, that's Cascade. I'm looking at the wrong thing. With 40 coins in Sand, you can get the Jaxie statue, the sand sticker, and the inverted pyramid model. Let me look at the goal list, actually. Because... I'm trying to remember if stickers is a separate goal or if souvenirs... I can never remember, and this one always gets to me. I'm trying to pull up the list so we can find out real quick. It does appear that, Alright, so Rexy, pretty smart maneuver here, going for the... Captain Toad Moon to kind of round out her moon collection. There's a Notes Moon on top of the trees here that I would like to see Rexy go for. I don't know if she got it or not already. I have to assume that she did because I don't have any reason to believe that she would forget about that moon. Be a weird thing for her to forget about here. Oh, she's going for a key moon here. This is also a good shout, honestly. Key moons can be somewhat rough sometimes. Okay, yeah, stickers are not souvenirs, it looks like. But I'm not really gonna yell at runners over that. That's not worth it. I'm just having faith in runners to get things right. He-moons, I don't know how many there are. I'm trying to remember where some of them be. Is there not a... Keys, there we go. Yeah, there's that one in sand. There's one in lake that's pretty long to get, but it's not that bad. There's one in Lost and one in Metro. That's really it, actually. So it's Metro, Lost, Lake, or Sand. So there's 4, so you have to pick 2 in this board. The Lake one is kind of slow. I would probably do... The Lost one is worse, honestly. None of the remaining ones are very good. We already have to do 12 moons in Lost, so I would probably do Lost Kingdom at that point, just for the sake of synergy. But I really am not super sure. Alright, it looks like Pika has obtained 40 purple coins as well. GG's to Pika. Being our second runner to... No, our third runner to get a second goal. Rob should be... Did Rob not do world peace? Or did he just forget to... Oh, no, he did. He checked the goal. I'm surprised that Rob has not achieved 40 coins yet, though, personally. Or individually. So, shrug. Planting seeds is a weird call here from Zet, but there are goals that deal with seeds, the seed moons. I'm not sure what Zet is trying to do here. If for experienced runners, you would do like, I don't know if DST manip is allowed in Bingo. I've never used it in Bingo because it does not come up very much. It's also in a Bingo context, DST manip would also be ridiculously difficult to do because DST manip is pretty much based on the assumption that you can be really consistent at your early game to the point that you can guarantee that you plant the seed before the daylight savings time trigger would flip and then do it after, and then be able to collect it afterwards, so. Alright, Rob has collected 40 regionals. So Rob is going to be on his way out here. Alright, it looks like our runners have figured out that stickers are not souvenirs. So, that is good. Because Rob just skipped over the sticker. So that does mean that some... I don't remember how many each kingdom sells. Some kingdoms sell 2. I think that they all sell 2 plus a sticker. Yeah. So, in a situation like this where you had to collect 40 regionals, it's pretty easy to get 2 souvenirs. And you also had to collect 45 from Cascade, and you got 60 from Wooded, so... souvenirs are pretty much a freebie goal. You just have to stop by the store and grab them. Alright, so Rob is off to Wooded. I do not know if Rexy is yet off. I'm trying to... Oh, Rexy went back to Cap. I don't hate this decision here, especially if she buys a souvenir, but at the same time, it's such a waste of time. The biggest problem with doing Cap now is that you have to waste the time coming back to Cap and then also leaving Cap again. It's such a minute thing overall, but it's one of those like super minor optimizations that like matters at a really high level, but at a level like this is completely meaningless. If for whatever reason this would have enabled her to get souvenirs that she wouldn't otherwise want to get, it would be one thing. But the fact of the matter is that she's going to have to buy another souvenir from another kingdom that sells two anyway. Oh, she didn't buy the frog. She can buy the frog. But that's one of those, like, again, it's like one of those minor optimizations that at a level like this really doesn't matter. But when you start like racing and doing bingo in a less casual format, it starts to matter a lot. I'm actually curious on what the timing of doing Cap now and having less like world map movement, like world select movement, versus doing it last and not having to depart on the Odyssey again would be. I think it's the same number of Odyssey departures overall. You just trade out which kingdom it is. Oh, Rex is gone. This, I do not like this. This is a bad decision in my opinion, but again, this is get yourself bingoing. We're not really here to super critique everything. Kind of to just talk about what bingo is like. But for context, the reason that I do not like this decision is there's no benefit to going back to Cascade other than obtaining a souvenir. And Rexy can obtain a souvenir in literally any other kingdom. So 2 more in any other kingdom to round this out. Unless she's just hedging her bets off of 60 regional wooded coins, in which case maybe it makes a little bit more sense. I'm not really sure. This is one of those things where you'd have to like ask the runner what their thought process is. The worst part is that row 5 is actually ridiculously synergistic. The worst part of row 5 is the hint arts. Because 60 wooded coins and 40 wooded sand coins is exactly perfect for getting 4 souvenirs. World Peace from sand is what it is. If you were like if you could do roll cancel clips and clip in to do. Wait, I was talking about inverted pyramid skip earlier. It doesn't actually prevent you from getting that 8-bit or skip the boss fight. So I was just completely off base when I was talking about that. So I take that back. Rexy, though, pulling a pretty sizable lead at this point of 2 goals. That's the biggest lead we've seen the entire run. Rexy does know the triple jump strat. And did it pretty much flawlessly, so big props on that. How many checkpoints in Lake do we need? 3. So you get this one, you get the one in the city, and you get the one up top, probably. Rexy taking a 2 goal lead, and then she's like, nah, I'm out. See ya. Rob about to finish Lake Kingdom, though, overall. Actually, I don't know if he's gotten sufficient moons, but... The fastest... I forget what the full suite of moons are, but Lake is actually, interestingly, one of the easiest kingdoms to just diverge the route completely and come up with a bunch of other random stuff to do. Which is always just like a funny place to be overall, because it's because the kingdom is so small and the optimizations of like which things are optimal is so small. So like in this kingdom, I would absolutely like just rush world peace, do this, do the notes 8-bit moon, and then probably just do the other key moon just to knock that out. Honestly, the more I look at this board, the more. So, I think if I was doing this board, like on my own as triple bingo, I think that in order the best lines on this card are. Actually, I have to check the hit darts because that matters. Yeah, it would be row 5, column 1, top left, bottom right. And then I think after that I would do top right, bottom left. If I was doing quad, and then Cinco. I don't know what my Cinco bingo would be. Probably row 4. Because I'd only have to get 10 regionals from Snow and 6 moons from some areas in Metro, which is hardly a huge deal. So. Oh, I just noticed the 2 barrier moons goal in Snow. That is really good synergy with 9 story moons, because both of those are story moons, too. So there's some really interesting synergies overall on this board. I think I would stick with my gut instinct, though, that it's like row 5, column 1, top left, bottom right, bottom left, top right, row 4-ish. It's really ironic because, like, actually, there's a chance that column 5 is better than row 4. Because you're already doing the barrier moons, and the lake checkpoints are basically free. I would just have to... Yeah, no, column 5 is definitely better than row 4. There's actually a decent chance that column 5 is better than top left, or top right, bottom left. But it's so... A lot of it is so small. Did Rob get the notes moon? I didn't actually see him grab it, but... Alright, does Zed have... Zed should have world peace at this point. It looks like Toaster Arena Town is yeah, everything's defrosted. So Zed's got world... I could've just looked at the board. Zed's got world peace marked. Zed doing pretty well overall. I know that Zed, I think, was a little worried and nervous about doing this. And he's doing pretty good overall, I would say. So, Zed, if you're watching this, do more bingos. Odyssey bingo is fun. Keep doing it. Another, like, just we kind of have a little bit of downtime right now while people are doing things that we've already seen or just not doing anything particularly noteworthy. There are a lot of different ways that you can play bingo for Odyssey. And I think that that's one of the best parts of Odyssey bingo. Normal, regular bingo, whatever you want to call it, is really good on its own. And there's absolutely, like, no issues with it. It's a lot of fun. It's infinitely playable because there's so many different things and so many different different possibilities. And, you know, even if you have a board that's like a board that has a lot of goals that you've already seen, it's the combination and the arrangement of the goals that makes a huge difference in how this plays, or on how things play out. But past that, there are quite a few other goals. There is short bingo and long bingo. I think short just limits how far up, like what kingdom it goes up to. I don't know what the kingdom list is. There are also just significantly less goals in the short bingo list, it looks like. There are 125 goals in the normal list. There are, it looks like also 125 in the short list, so. Oh, actually, no. Short, long, and normal are the same list. Yeah. No? Okay, they're not. Okay, they're not. Okay, I'm crazy. I just opened the same list 3 times by accident. Because I know how to open links, clearly. Yeah, there's significantly more for long and normal bingo compared to short. I believe that short caps at a certain kingdom. I don't know what kingdom it is offhand. It might be Metro, which isn't that much shorter, but it guarantees that you do at least one less kingdom. And if the amount of Metro stuff or the amount of stuff that requires doing Metro is less, there's a better chance that you don't have to go that far. Long is, I believe, through Moon Kingdom? I believe. No, I don't think it is. Yeah, so there's luncheon goals in long. There's. What kingdom comes after luncheon? Bowser? Okay, so I think long just goes through luncheon, which is at most one more kingdom, but it does require you to finish an extra kingdom and then go into luncheon, so that is what it is. Back to our runners. Rob is in Cascade, is what it is. Or not Cascade, Cap. I've said my piece about not liking going to Cap Kingdom at this point, but so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. What 2 crate moons did Rob do? I see that he got 2. I am not super familiar with the crate moons. Oh, Sand and Lake. Duh. That's really easy. Yeah, so thinking about it more, I think that Column 5 is in fact better than top right, bottom left. It's close, though. 35 regionals in Cascade is the linchpin of that. There's this weird, almost anti-synergy on the board that I don't think I really talked about. We have 2 barrier moons and uncork 2 fountains, which are snow and seaside required moons, and they're both story moons, or they both equate to story moons. So that is 4 story moons on the board that are required, but they require you to go to both of the quote-unquote final kingdoms of the bingo, which can be really not great. So there's some interesting synergy there. The point is that you would never do like row 1 and row 2 together, or row 1 and column 5, or column 5 and yeah. The point is you, unless you're doing blackout, you'd almost never do those 2 goals together. Minus like some ridiculously niche scenario or something that like where you're set up to be able to just any percent through the rest of the game, basically. Without something like that, there's no reason to do both of those outside of blackout. Anyway, we were talking about goals. So long and short are fun and good and nice. But there is also All Kingdoms and All Kingdoms plus Post Game, which are both really, really cool. All Kingdoms requires you to reframe your thinking of bingo because it also requires you to complete the game after achieving bingo. I guess after, at least All Kingdoms does. All Kingdoms plus post game is probably complete the game, then get bingo, because post game exists. But so there's no longer like an emphasis in All Kingdoms on doing as little in each kingdom as, or like minimizing how far into the game you go. It's about choosing the fastest set of like criteria for a given goal, which is just a different way of thinking, but it's a lot of fun and it's just a nice alternative. And then post game is just even like a little bit longer. I don't really know what I'm not super familiar with the post game list. I've done All Kingdoms personally a handful of times, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it looks like the All Kingdoms post game has like 400 something goals, which is a pretty significant number. All Kingdoms has like 300. The caveat with All Kingdoms, the two All Kingdoms versions, is that they are not balanced the same way that the normal short and long versions are. Without getting super technical into what the about, or into like the technical specs of how bingo generation works. In normal short and long bingo, the average difficulty of lines will be very, very close to each other overall, assuming, of course, that the goals are designed and set up correctly. But whereas the goals for All Kingdoms and All Kingdoms post game are just straight up randomly selected. All right, so back to talking about our runners a little bit more. Yosher is heading for Lake and Wooded Kingdom. The fastest, it's always fastest to choose the first kingdom on the list. I don't know what the reasoning is other than the lack of menuing, but when you hit the forks, it's always just mash. That is, at least for any percent. And of course, for the first fork, it matters here, unless you're doing like a really short bingo or something that doesn't somehow require you to go to both Lake and Wooded, or past the two of them, I should say. But it is a really bad habit to have to deal with in bingo if you have to choose between Lake or Snow and Seaside. If you want to go to Seaside instead of Snow, you have to break your mashing habit. There is a Note Moon here that I don't know if Rob grabbed. That I definitely think runners should be grabbing. Yosher is grabbing them. We were talking about leads again. Yosher 3 goals, Rexy at 5, so only a 2-goal lead again there. But Rob, I believe, is up to 7 if I know how to count, and is making significant progress through Wooded at this point. Wooded is a little bit of a weird kingdom sometimes. We have the 5 checkpoints goal for Wooded, but I actually believe that not all checkpoints in Wooded count. Oh, no, they do. Okay. Because there's some weirdness with how checkpoints in Wooded work. You can't always warp to all of them. I don't really know what the deal is with that. So, not really sure. All right, so we're up to Spirit. Spirit is a really easy boss. You literally just throw Cappy at him and then jump on him. And then you also just jump on him if you want to go fast during this phase. It's really funny because the fastest way to beat the bosses is actually usually like the least dangerous way for most of the bosses, because it minimizes the time that you spend in the fight, and B, it also like just gets them out of the weird phases of their fight that are generally more dangerous faster. Like this phase of the fight, Spewer just throws his poison goop everywhere on the in the arena. So, you know, if you get him out of the phase faster, it means you don't have to deal with as much goop when you get to the ability to actually deal damage to him. Ooh, Zed grabbing a painting moon. Is this the lake painting? I assume it is. This is not hint arts, unfortunately, Zed, if that's what you were going for. I'm assuming that he's using the cheat sheet, or the gang is in a voice chat of their own, so I assume that Zed knows that is not hint art. There is a painting moon goal in the goal pool, but I don't see it on here. It was the sand painting moon. Zed's struggling to come up with a couple more moons. This is where not knowing a lot about the game really starts to bite you. There are bits and pieces that the board pretty much handles for you, like world peace, but it's not always enough to just do what the board tells you to do, unfortunately. So, once you run out of things to do, you're often, if you don't know the game well enough, or you are missing a particular piece of knowledge, you end up scrambling a little bit. But again, that's just practice makes perfect with all games and all bingos and all speedruns. You'll get there eventually. I don't even think casually and between bingo that I've collected every moon in the game. I also have not completed Darker Side casually. I cannot get through the gauntlet, the platforming gauntlet. I have not tried in a long time, but I still don't know if I could. I didn't used to be able to get the platforming gauntlet in Darker. But I was learning the all unique moons run at some point for this, and then I never finished learning it. It's a very long run and a lot to learn. It also requires some difficult tricks like roll cancel clipping and stuff, and I didn't want to deal with it. So I gave up in Sand Kingdom for AUM, which means I did not make it very far. Rob is actually making pretty good time overall. So is Pika, honestly. The runners are doing some pretty good, making some pretty good time, which good for them. Not that I didn't have faith in our players, but, this game can be a lot casually, and so can bingo. There's just a lot of information to take in and a lot of information to deal with, and there are parts of the game that are not easy to do, so Rob is making good time. Rob should definitely make it through Metro in the 3-hour time limit. I still don't know if Rob or Rexy will make it to both Snow and Seaside. Snow can be really fast if you know what you're doing, but that's a big if. Rob is getting pretty close to being done. I don't know if he has 5 checkpoints yet. Rob might be getting confused by the fact that a bunch of checkpoints that he checked disappeared. I forget what happens. I think they come back after. Is Rob going to Deep Woods? No, okay. What's Rob doing? There's a note moon up here. Rob, please be careful. You do not want to end up in Deep Woods. There's a couple of goals that want you to go to Deep Woods and Wooded, but it is not something that you want to do if you can avoid it. Because Deep Woods is slow with 17 O's. He is going to Deep Woods. Rob, why are you going to Deep Woods? Is he going for Is there a timer challenge in Deep Woods that he's going for? Like, this is an interesting decision. He could be going for the purples, but there's so many better options for purple coin. I guess he does need 60, which is honestly a very, very large amount of purple coins in Wooded. You know, I was very big on like my instinct for what's the best lines all involve the 60 coins in Wooded. That is a huge investment still, and that's why those goals look harder, or those rhymes look harder than they, or easier than they actually are. There is not a lot of great options for them. That said, Wooded has a lot of like groups of coins that are like 4s or 6s or and stuff, or a lot of like close together groups of coins, which makes it a lot easier to collect coins for a decent amount of it. Rob now getting chased by the T-Rex, unfortunately. Interestingly, we haven't seen any of our runners go into the underwater sub area in the little pond here, which is a really fast way to get 2 moons. Unfortunately, it's not an 8-bit section, despite it being forced 2D side view perspective. How did Rob capture the dinosaur? What did he do? Did he get him to like charge into something? I didn't see him do it, which is... I started looking at other people when Rob was doing interesting things. I forget what... Okay, I think Rob's just trying to leave. So he just came down here for purples? Yeah, you gotta get rid of the dinosaur, Rob. The robots are scared of him. Oh, he's going for the timer challenge now. Good luck. I forget what direction you have to move. Down here. It was like Rob doesn't know either. I don't either. I wish I could offer Rob assistance. Don't get eaten, Rob. In the process. Oh no, he got clipped. Playing chicken with a T-Rex is only something you could do in a Mario game, I feel like. He's dead, yeah. How is Pika doing on... Pika's got 28 purples and is doing a pretty good job of making it through Wooded, it looks like. I don't know how far into Wooded he is. Rob, oh, I think that was Rexy who just clicked 5 timer challenges, actually. So I guess that means that Rexy's back. I don't know what timer challenge she just completed. Is there a timer challenge, like, on that platform on the way to Wooded? Or is there another timer challenge that I'm just not thinking of in Wooded? I don't know why I am asking that question. I can just find out. Oh no, Rexy was in Lake. What? What 5 did she do? Did she do all of them in sand? She didn't do the one in Cap, I don't think. She must have done both in Cascade. One in Lake and 2 in Sand. She definitely did the Key Moon, which is a timer challenge that I forgot about. Not sure. We'll take her word for it, though. Yosher is in Lake. Yosher's doing pretty good on time. Rob has collected 7 moons from Nuts. Rexy is off to... Wow, Rexy, I feel like, really blistered through Lake. Lake is a really fast kingdom overall, so it depends on what you're going for. I'm guessing that she didn't do Captain Toad. Which is fine. I don't know that I have a problem with that overall. Let's see. You do Captain Toad, Sand, Wooded, Lost, and Metro. Yeah, that's fine. You don't even have to necessarily do Wooded because Wooded is a little annoying. You can do one of Sand or Seaside. Or Snow or Seaside, rather. So. Yosher's up to 4 goals. Wow. Rexy really is blistering through some gold. I believe that Rexy has a 1-goal advantage over Rob right now. But Rob should be pretty close to getting 5 checkpoints in Wooded and also 5 timer challenge moons. So he should be doing fine. Rexy trying to do the little trick jump to get up here. Requires a little bit of finesse. Not particularly annoying or anything like that. So now she's up here. I'm not sure what she's looking for up here. Purple coins, I have to assume. Yeah, probably. I thought there was a timer or a notes moon along here, but Rob didn't see it and didn't, or at least he didn't go for it. I think that this is post piece this time or this one. I think that the one here is post. Okay, apparently there are 0. Is that a moon rock? Moon. I'm now trying to see if I can find any info about this on the... Okay, Rexy's camera just decided it was a glitch. Rob's also probably pretty close to purchasing 4 souvenirs. I have to assume he's going to purchase his 4th here in Wooded Kingdom, in which case Rob has a pretty decent lead over Rexy, which makes a lot of sense because Rexy stopped for a bit and went to get through, so... Oh, here's the post. Yeah, it is a post game notes moon that I was thinking of, and I think that also Rexy was thinking of, possibly also even Rob, which is hilarious because it means that we all remembered that the moon existed, but none of us remembered that it was post game or bothered to check the sheet before we tried to go for it, which is super funny. Rob is zoning in on 60 regionals. I have to assume that Rob is going to get... So Rob still has 3 moons left. I don't know how many checkpoints he's up to. But given the way he's navigating, I have to assume that he is going for... There's an 8-bit moon up the top, like up near the top of the mountain that that I have to assume he is going for. And then possibly Captain Toad. I think getting Captain Toad at this point would be smart for Rob. I think that 8-bit plus Captain Toad plus... I think literally any other moon is fine. Possibly, I think is there another story moon up here? I forget where the last story moon in... What it is. Yeah, on the path, the flower field. I think getting the story moon plus Captain Toad plus 8-bit is probably what makes the most sense in Rob's position. Grab that checkpoint. That should be at least 5 checkpoints for Rob. I guess he's just not confident in it. Wooded's checkpoints are weird. There are 9 checkpoints according to the spreadsheet, the cheat sheet. That said, though, there are some that are only available after Kingdom Peace. World Peace. And one of the ones on Wooded is the Warp Painting. And there's no Warp Painting synergy, so there's not really any reason necessarily to do World Peace here. It looks like Rob is just going to do World Peace. This is... Oh. Good job, Rob. Good. Alright. He is not going to do the fight, it looks like. This is the right decision from Rob. Yes, okay, perfect. He has turned around, which means he's probably going for Captain Toad or the 8-bit moon, which is just good decision making for Bingo. Oh, Zed is wearing the boxer shorts. Zed is the first person to complete that goal. GG's to Zed. Zed is actually the winner of Bingo. Oh, Rob is 1 purple coin short. That might be part of the problem. Zed has achieved nipple percent in under an hour and a half, and did so casually, which is pretty impressive, all things considered. You still need 2 more moons, Rob. Do you just not know where... This 8-bit moon always trips me up because I can never remember where the entrance is. Okay, so Rob is going to just do a couple random moons. This is fine. Like, there's no real issues here, all things considered. Right, Rob's got to get 1 more moon. I would like to see him get one of either Captain Toad or the 8-bit moon. 8-bit moons, the 7 moons from 8-bit's goal always worries me. Personally. Even when I play, even though I know it's not that big of a deal, just because it is so easy to skip all of the moons, incidentally. So... just something to be careful of. Yeah, buying the last moon here is smart if Rob has not already bought it. Rob does have enough coins to buy 2 more souvenirs, which should get him to 4 souvenirs. So Rob really blazing through some of these goals. Rob has the ability to get a bingo at this point. 2 moons from Hint Arts is really easy for him at this point because there are hint arts in Lake Kingdom that takes you back to Cascade, and then there is a Voided Kingdom art that takes you back to Sand Kingdom. That's the other thing with the backtracking that I'm not a huge fan of, the sequencing wise for our runners here. Because there is a hint art goal on the board, you have to be really conscious of the hint art options. You have to be really conscious of the options that exist for hint art and plan your backtracking around that. Unfortunately, the Cap Kingdom, there is not a... Yeah, there's not a moon, or there's not a pre-game, like a non-post-game hint art that does not send you to, that sends you to Cap. So there's no, like, backtrack synergy there. But, alright, Rob entering Cloud Kingdom just shy of the 90-minute mark is pretty decent overall. Not bad at all. Especially for, like, a first time doing bingo and on a blackout run, nonetheless. Almost falling there. So he's going to do Bowser 1 here. The Bowser fights in this game are pretty simple. There's a lot of really neat optimizations that you can do that are... Some of them are easy, some of them are hard. One of the easiest optimizations you can do is to hold Cappy out while, like, with Bowser's hat, and then basically call Cappy back to you while you're advancing on Bowser, so that you can get the first hit in before he jumps and cancel his jump. Yes, good job, Rob. Rob doing it, and just shy. Rob had the right idea though, so Rob does know about that strat. Also, the motion controls are the fastest. I believe the fastest way to punch with the hat. I don't quote me on that because I'm actually not sure. That's based like purely on anecdotal evidence. The other strat that's a little bit more difficult is that you can, after you land the final hit on Bowser, you can move a specific way to get him to jump a shorter distance before starting the next phase, which obviously makes it faster because he jumps a shorter distance, and so therefore he spends less time in the air. But it can be a little challenging to do it right. That should be... Yes, he got it. Rob with a pretty good demonstration of the fight there overall. Showing off some tech. If he had not missed the cap on like the hat on those first three, that would have been like a completely acceptable Bowser fight for a casual player. That would have been better than acceptable, honestly. Let's see if anyone knows the strat in Cap. So there's a jump that you can do off a tree if you don't need to go to the main area of Cap or of Lost Kingdom to avoid this whole cutscene and this whole segment. It's what the hell is it called? I forget what the trick is called. But if you're just going to have to come to this area anyway, which you usually do, sometimes it is better to just get Cappy captured. So Rob is up to 11 goals. I'm trying to think like where I would want to be at this point. I have to assume that Rob's plan for Lost is to get his second... I have to assume that he's going to get an 8-bit moon, get a Captain Toad moon, get a Key moon, which I believe will be his second Key moon, and then get 12 moons and move on. He is headed generally in the right direction for all of this. The Key Moon is a little annoying. I believe that the Key Moon does require that you deal with Klepto. Klepto skip, that's the name of the skip. So, yeah, Rob showing off pretty good game knowledge and some decent movement here, for sure. Lost is a really fun kingdom overall. It's not necessarily fun casually, like as a casual experience, because getting Cappy captured is not fun. Was not fun casually. It was novel, but I did not necessarily enjoy it as an individual when I played casually. But from like a bingo and a speedrun standpoint, this is a really fun kingdom. There's some opportunities for really fun movement, really specific optimizations. Kleptoscape is a great example of just using this game's movement to do cool things in a speedrunning context. And then there's even ways that you can like avoid getting kleptoed, even if you have to go to the area that I'm not super familiar with the specifics of all of that. I believe that there might be a timer challenge here for Rob to do as well. I'm not sure. There are none, actually. My bad. There's also no reason for Rob to be grabbing purple coins, or anyone to be grabbing purple coins. Alright, so Yosher has achieved world peace in Wooded Kingdom, which I assume means that Yosher has should have now have enough moons, or very close to enough moons to be... Oh, no, never mind. That was not world peace. That's my bad. I got the moon names wrong. I mean, Yosher's at like the halfway point in... He's past halfway on moon count. If he's doing good on nut count and purple coin count, he's pretty solidly well through Wooded overall, I would say. I need to look at runner coin counts. Yosher's got 754. You need 1,000 to get the boxer shorts, which is the only coin-related goal on the board, unless runners are specifically planning to purchase moons. It's worth noting that the optimal moon sequence for Wooded bingo outside of bingo is to purchase the shop moon. It looks like Rexy just wanted the checkpoint here too. So Rexy and Rob on similar kind of wavelengths in terms of what that looks like, or what their sequencing here in Wooded at the end of Wooded looks like. Oh, another thing. So here's a really interesting bit of synergy that I totally forgot about. So we have 2 moons from keys on the board. There are 2 key moons that are also timer challenges. One of the ones in Metro, or the one in Metro and the one in Sand are both timer challenges, which on paper means that if you are planning to do both of those goals, it is strictly best to do the 2 moons from keys as the 2 timer challenges. And they're in the same row. They're in the same line, for that matter. So... Are all keys timer challenges? Now I'm curious. I think not all keys are timer challenges, because there's one in Lost. So I actually don't know that I want to see Rob do that key moon in Lost, actually. Unless he didn't do the one in Sand. I'm pretty sure he did the one in Sand. Alright, so Rexy doing this sub-area to wrap up. Doing it last is not the best pathing, but I don't know if Rexy had a solid plan of what she wanted to do in this kingdom. That said, she is dead on at 60 coins, so, like, GG, I guess. Like, good job, Rexy. Don't die, though. That would be really not great. She should. This section that Rexy just did, the flooded pipe section, can be super anxiety-inducing unless you are well practiced, because of the fact that it is a cycle-based section, and as soon as you are off cycle, it is very difficult, or it can be very difficult to either get back on cycle or to adapt. So Rexy's gonna head off to fight Bowser and enter Lost next. There's not too much to say there for them. Yoshi's at 48 purples now. Out of 60 for the kingdom. I still have not seen what Rexy's coin count is. It's hilarious to me that still no one else has gotten the boxers. I'm sure that it's just the matter of no one is thinking about them. They're one of those things that you can do at any time, so it doesn't really matter that much. I'm not sure what Yoshi is trying to do at this point. Does Yoshi not know he can shake the controller to get a little further? A little bit higher, as the whatever the heck these things are called. I don't know. What are these things called? I don't remember. All the captures and everything in this game have good unique names, which is pretty cool. There's just a lot of them to remember as a result of that. All right, Rexy did not do the manip. It's fine. It only saves like a handful of seconds over the course of the whole fight. Let's see if she does. She does not know this strat. Okay, it is what it is. Rexy's got only 430 coins, so Rexy really far behind on the boxer short train, boxer straight. I want to know why, in like the name of all that is good and evil, that Bowser installed punching arms in his hat, in his wedding top hat. Like, what was the end game of having punching arms installed in the hat? Did he expect to need to use them against Mario or something? Like, shrug. Alright, let's see if Rexy does the switch. Or yes, it looks like she's gonna go for it. She's on the wrong tree, though. Still the wrong tree. Is this a modified Klepto Skip? Okay, modified Klepto Skip. I did not know about this method of Klepto Skip. Okay, go off, Rexy. Rexy showing off some down throws there with Cappy. Rexy confident in the alternate version of Klepto Skip, but not just jumping around these boulders to save a couple seconds. It's always really funny to see what runners are and aren't confident in terms of movement. Okay, so Rob has achieved 12 moves and lost at this point. He did not appear to have gotten the Key Moon, which I think is a smart decision in all things considered. I have to assume that he got Toad, Captain Toad. But my assumption is that he is off to Metro at this point, and probably... Oh, literally, right now, off to Metro. Nailed it. Dead on. I am actually a mind reader. Pika off on a quick toilet break. Not that necessarily needed to be announced out loud, but here we are. All right, so Metro can be a really long kingdom if you are not super familiar with the game. There are a couple of really cool jumps that you can do in Night Metro, to skip a good chunk of it, and it looks like Rob might know about it. Because he is heading in the... No, never mind, he doesn't. He just doesn't know where he's going. So you can do a somewhat precise, like, wall jump and cap bounce sequence off of the awning in that around that building that Rob just ran by a little bit ago, to reach the top of the building and skip the entire, like, left side of the Night Metro sequence. Which saves a pretty decent chunk of time, all things considered. Saves probably closing in on like a minute or two, potentially. Especially if like you don't have like perfectly optimized movement along the left side. It does also allow you access to a moon, like a moon during Night Metro that you would otherwise not pass by during Night Metro, which is really convenient for moon sequencing because you do need to get 20 moons in Metro. I don't know if any of our runners are going to do Festival. There's not really any encouragement to do Festival unless they need the moon from the 8-bit section. But, like, there's so many better... Oh, no, Rob's falling down. There's so many better options for 8-bit moons. That I would not expect that he would, or that anyone would really go for it. There's also a fun, like a silly skip that takes like maybe 30 seconds in this section that requires you to do a blind long jump across the entire tower, and then also fight the camera that wants to turn around mid jump in order to maximize your distance on the jump. So Pika's almost done with Wooded. Wow, good job, Pika. He is also at 57 purple coins, I believe I saw on his screen. Which means he's almost at 60 from Wooded, which means he's almost at another goal. I don't know how many nut moons he's collected, but he is specifically going after a nut here. So, is this his 7th? We will find out. It is, in fact, his 7th. Very nice. In the meanwhile, Zet has checked off 5 Wooded checkpoints, which means he is making pretty good progress through Wooded as well. Zed is actually also done with Wooded in terms of moons. Rob voided out during the tower, unfortunately. That's super, super unfortunate. So Pika now looking for, I presume, 3 more regionals and probably his last checkpoint, if I had to guess, before he heads out, so... It's really interesting to see you can kind of see the general, line of progress across the board, but then you can also see a couple of, the small diversion points that people have had, Rexy's already done 5 timer challenges. Zet's gotten the boxer shorts, etc. Which is kind of neat. That's the one. So the one downside about Blackout in Odyssey, and one of the reasons that like I don't really do Blackout all that much anymore when I do Odyssey bingo, or I try not to, is that the route is very prescribed almost. There is just an optimal way to do everything. There's not the way to do everything in line bingo too, but you have to do every goal. So you want to just optimize all the goals together. You don't have to like decide which goals you want to do. So there's no like routing differences. Whereas in line bingo, you get some you get routing differences and so on. All right, so this is a rare 2-phase boss fight here in the Mecha Wiggler boss fight. Ideally, when you are doing this boss fight, you want to actually, when Mecha Wiggler's going to charge you, you want to be in a corner, between, like in the corner between the building that Mecha Wiggler's emerging from, and another building, because it will minimize the distance that he travels during the charge. And then ideally, you want to 2-cycle him here. A lot of times it does end up just being a 3-cycle, just because it is pretty difficult to do a 2-cycle. But Rob looks like he might be on track for it. No, he's not. If he hadn't missed that one, he probably would have been. But he's close. He's very close to done. Getting a 2-cycle on Mecha Wiggler is very difficult without practice. And it's very difficult even with practice sometimes. Thankfully, Mecha Wiggler should only charge once here. Yeah. So now he's emerged. Now we're just waiting for him to become vulnerable, and now he's vulnerable. He has one. Rob only has to make one more shot. Come on, Rob. Got him. That should be it. Yep. Now Rob's just gotta spam the button and get him dead. Pika choosing to do the boss fight here, I'm not sure what he's going for here. He's done with the boss fight, so like it doesn't really matter at this point, but he did waste a little bit of time with that. But oh, that was only the beginning. Never mind. Yeah, in this case though, Rob is pretty far ahead. There's 2 other runners who are unpictured. Rexy should also be coming in on Metro. She's probably in Night Metro right now, if I had to guess. I did it again. I predicted it like dead on during the switch. We do have another runner in. There's basically like 2 mini races going on. There's Rexy versus Rob, and then Yosher, Pika, and Zet racing each other. Which honestly makes it a little bit more interesting, because it like, even though Rexy and Rob have left everyone else kind of in the dust, Yosher, Pika, and Zet can kind of race each other, essentially. That's one of the cool things about Get Yourself Bingoing as a series and as a concept, though, is, you know, people of all skill levels are welcome, so you may get a bunch of people who are good, you may get a bunch of people who are not so good, you might get people who are just casuals, and there's pretty much someone for everyone to go up against. Yeah, shameless plug. Next week's Get Yourself Bingoing, same time, same place, same channel, quite literally, Twitch channel, so on and so forth. is Minecraft. So if you are interested in tackling bingo for Minecraft, make sure that you join the Bingothon Discord and sign up for next week's match. Do we have a... We do have a command. Go ahead. So yeah, this is week 2 of Get Yourself Bingoing. Last week we did, what game was last week? I'm totally blanking. I can just go look. Yes, it was Emerald last week, thank you. Yeah, yes. Last week's was Pokemon Emerald, next week's is Minecraft, and the final week is Sonic R, I believe? So... if you are interested in any of those, or any future Get Yourself Bingoing match, because I'm pretty sure that these will not be the only 4 we do. We may do these games again in the future. We will probably do it again in the future with different games, for sure. Yeah, make sure that you guys are in the Bingothon Discord and signed up for future stuff, if you are interested in it. Rexy wrapping up Night Bingo. Night Metro again here. Night Metro is really unfortunate because there's just, like, not a lot to do in it. And then you open up into Metro, which is, like, the single biggest, most open kingdom in the game. Oh, no. Poor Rexy. There's, like, nothing to do in Night Metro. You can sometimes, like, get a head start on some Metro-related goals, but just in general, Night Metro is just a slog that you have to go through in Bingo. Oh, that's Yosher, that's not Pika. Did Yosher just finish the boss battle, or did he just... No, he just triggered the boss battle. I am curious again to what Rob... It's really... commentating Bingo is always really fun, especially when you don't know what the runners know and runners are less experienced. Because there are some, like, really incredibly specific optimizations that runners could be going... that they could be going for. I've talked at length about some of them, but to recap some of them for people who weren't here. The 2 moons from Keys goal completely overlaps with the 5 timer challenges goal. That is to say, there are 2 keys that you can get from moons that are also timer challenge moons, or also count as timer challenge moons, and those are in the same line. Not that the fact they're in the same line matters because this is Blackout after all. You know, so little optimizations like that can make a huge difference because it brings the total moon count and therefore the total time of the run down. Notes, music notes, and 8-bit sections often go hand in hand. Timers and notes don't really go hand in hand. Sub-areas in Metro can kind of go hand in hand. I don't think they do in this particular board, but there can be, like, Secret Moon or, like, Ground Pound Moons or whatever it may be. That may be a big deal. So Rob is well on his way in Day Metro here. So I talked about it earlier. There are a total of 7 distinct sub-areas in Metro Kingdom for a total of 14 moons that are available. We want to collect both 6 and 10. 10 is half of the required moons for the for Metro. So we're halfway there already. You get 3 from finishing Night Metro. Specifically, those keys that I was referring to are Sand and Metro are where they are. The timer and key overlap. There is a key in Lost, and there is also a key in something else. I have the cheat sheet up. I'm looking at keys and Lake that are not timer moons. Rob is I don't know how many. Rob hasn't even collected 6 sub-area moons, so I have to assume that he is just chaining sub-areas together at this point. I really wanted to see him do Captain Toad. So I think the 10 moons that I would do, or the 20 moons I would do 5 sub-areas. I would do Captain Toad. I would do the Key Moon. Then I would also probably do the 8-bit Note Moon, which I believe counts for both. I believe it is both. I'd have to double check again. Yeah, that is an 8-bit and a Note Moon. So that's, how many moons are we at? We're at 13 with Mecha Wiggler and the sub areas. Toad is 14. Notes is 15. He is 16. Probably 2 musicians to bring it up to 18 and 2 story moons. And then probably a timer challenge. I don't. Is there another timer challenge that's worth doing in Metro? Yeah, there's 3 timer challenges in Metro, so... And one of them is, in fact, in a sub-area, I think. I think pushing through the crowd is a sub-area moon. Now I need to double check. Is the sub areas? Yeah, pushing through the crowd is a sub area moon, so a lot of stuff to do there. So Rob is just hunting for these moon shards. These moon shards are certainly something that exist. I don't think I mentioned it, but this is by far one of my least favorite sub areas in the entire game. So, Pika has returned himself to Lake. I'm not really sure what he is going for here. I'm trying to think on the board and what he what I'm not really sure what Pika is trying to. Oh, did he do Wooded first instead of Lake? It's wild to me just how many sub areas there are in Metro. Metro is one of my favorite. Metro is definitely my favorite overall kingdom, but yeah, Pika is definitely in Lake for the first time. A good strat always. Did he get the moon? I have to assume he... No, he didn't. Okay. He's going back in. Rob is now 1 moon shy. Rexy is 3 moons shy of completion in Metro. But Rob should be only... I have to assume only 1 sub-area away. Rob's gotta go... I don't know if Rob has done it yet, but he's gotta do the one that's a timer challenge and a sub-area. Or not. I have to assume he's already done it, because that's like the sub-area, that everyone knows about in Metro. The one where you have to like bounce on all the people's heads to get over the crowd, or shove your way through it. But bouncing on everyone's heads is significantly more fun, obviously. Right, come on, Pika, you can do it. Pika, no. Pika, no. If you're gonna delay getting the bottom ones, you should just get all the ones up top first. You don't have to get them in order. Pika might not know that you don't have to get them. Is Rob back in this sub-area? Oh, Rexy's got... Rexy is pulling ahead in Metro here. Showing off some prowess. 1 moon left, and she's already done 10 sub-area moons. Rob really struggling with this sub-area, unfortunately. And I think just overall, Rob's struggling with like some optimizations and some sequencing. And it's going to come back and bite him here, I think. Rexy closing out. I don't think we saw anyone do any musicians. Which is wild to me. Like, musicians would have been one of the first non-sub-area moons I would have gone for. Musicians and bench guy, which obviously we just saw Rexy do bench guy. But Rexy, at this point, I think is largely done with Metro. It looks like she might be going for Captain Toad, which is totally fine. I like this strat at this point. I would have preferred if she would have just used the Captain Toad moon as her final moon, but that's so nitpicky at this stage of the stuff that it doesn't really matter. All right, so Rob is the first out of... Has anyone finished a line? Yes. Rexy has row 3. He also has top right, bottom left. I don't like Seaside over Snow as the choice here. There are 2 explicitly Snow goals here. Unless Rob has something specific he's going for in Seaside. But he's also got 45 minutes, so he will get to do both. Snow is objectively the faster kingdom, so if you ever have to do both in Bingo, unless for whatever reason you have to complete, you need to complete sufficient moons in Seaside to just get out of Seaside, Snow is always the better choice for your first moon or for your first kingdom here. Not to mention the selection is faster anyway. This is a Notes moon. This should be Rob's. Where's the music Notes moon? I think that's 5 for Rob. He's not clicking it yet. So maybe not quite yet. I mean, the problem is that if Rob is locking into doing music notes, there's not more than one in Seaside and Snow. There's 1 each in Seaside and Snow, there's 1 in Metro, and there's 2 each in Sand and Lake. So there's only 7 moons to choose from, and really beggars can't be choosers with this, when it comes to Note moons. Note moons and like the Metro sub-areas are like 2 of the most stressful goals on this board that they require they require some pretty good forethought. Snow should be pre-peace. Oh no, Snow is post-peace. So unless you want to do Kingdom Peace and Snow, which no one in their right mind wants to do in Bingo, you actually only have 6 Note moons to choose from. And I don't think we saw anyone do Jaxies in Snow or in Sand, which means that everyone has to have done both in Lake, the one in Metro, and the one in Seaside. And given that Rob has not marked it, it means he has not done at least one of those. So, Rob is in a really bad position because of that. Rob had a pretty solid lead over Rexy in terms of game progress and goal progress, and I think at this point he's just given up the entirety of the ground. Peace in Snow requires completion of the races. I'm pretty sure. Is there a world peace? Because there's a multi-moon in Snow for finishing the... Yeah, first place is the Grand Prix is a multi. So you have to do all 4 barriers and the race. The racing is not that big of a deal, but if you were going to do World Peace in Snow, it absolutely should have been your first kingdom of the 2. You already have to do 2 barriers, and if you haven't already done 9 story moons at that point, like, there is a world in which it makes sense to do all 4 barriers and the where it makes sense to do all 4 barriers and the race, but it is such a it requires you to be doing something very, very, very specific on this, and is not something that I think any of our runners are actually attempting to line up here. I genuinely don't think that there is a world in which it is a good idea to do snow piece. Because the problem, just straight up, the problem is that the only time that you would ever want to do snow piece on this board is if you are going for the Note Moon in snow. And just objectively, the other Note Moon options are better. So, right, Rob has 7 from 8 bits at this point. Rob has somehow still not... Okay, Rob has completed the line. He's completed top left, bottom right. I like how the two, front runners, progression-wise, are also the 2 runners who have not done boxers. I think that there is a festival goal. Let me check. I have access to the goal list itself. So I don't know if there are any goals that explicitly require it. There are a couple of multi-moon related goals where sometimes it is, there's Metro World Peace. So Metro World Peace, there's 26 moons in Metro goal. Yeah. If you roll either of those, well, okay, if you roll World Peace in Metro, obviously that is that requires Festival. But Festival itself is not a goal. So it's a design choice, I'm pretty sure. There are very few goals that are like a hyper-specific goal. That are a very specific goal. And that's by design. So no, there's no festival specific goal. But World Peace Metro is effectively is functionally a festival goal. Did Rexy do Snow Peace already? I stopped No, she's in a sub area. I was like, I stopped watching Rexy's screen for a second. Rob is yeah, that's not gonna work, Rob. You're not gonna be able to. What are you? Rob probably doesn't know the jump strats up here. There's some fun jumps that you can do in Seaside to get around some of the requirements for the water guns and stuff. But you have to know that those exist. Is that where Captain Toad is? Because I believe that is one of the ones that we do a standing triple jump wall cap bounce wall jump in any percent to get. I don't remember if that is actually Captain Toad that we do that for though or not. the more I think about the 26 moons from Metro Gold, now that we're talking about goal list stuff, the more I realize how much it's not really that big of a deal. There are so many moons available in Metro, but some of them are so bad. Like, we saw our runners do 20 moons in Metro, mostly without musicians, and musicians is basically 4 free moons. And then festival is +3, and there's one more story moon between musicians and festivals, so like it's kind of crazy, some of the stuff. Also, yes, boxers. So it depends. In a strictly line bingo context, boxers probably requires some coin grinding, but in a not like in a blackout sort of context like this, you will typically reach 1,000 coins pretty organically by the end. It's just really funny. Like the only reason I pointed out the fact that that like our front runners hadn't did it just because it was an interesting. Yeah, I'd say that probably pretty well aligns. Rexy has been making some pretty good decisions, and I think that that she owes that in part to the fact that she has done Odyssey bingo in the past. Rob, just kill him. Rob, oh my God, Rob, you just gave me a goddamn heart attack. I really thought he was gonna fail the uncapture. That has to be 5 Captain Toads, right? Okay, no. It's not. If Rob had made, like, just slightly better decision making, had slightly better decision making in this bingo, he could have easily done Blackout. He still has a decent chance at it. It's not the worst thing in the world. All right, Rexy is off to Seaside, so she is coming up on the end. The largest problem that our runners are going to run into at this point, is just simply the fact that so none of them have started hint arts. I saw Rob look at a hint art, which is a good start for him. But none of them have done a hint art yet. And yeah, the problem is that they could have done that goal absolutely ages ago. So. Because the two hint arts goal is like practically designed to be done with the two hint arts in oh god, where are they? The like two really early kingdoms. And like the hint art for Sand and Wooded and the hint art for Cascade and Lake. You could justify doing the lake, the one that's hidden in Lake with the Metro hint art, especially if you have 26 moons for Metro. There's a world where that is the sensible play. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where like it's practically designed to be done one way, and to do it any other way is just like objectively worse. So realistically, I just am not sure what their end goal is here. Ultimately, though, not really a huge deal. All right, so Rob is done. Rob needs to just go. Okay. Rex, so what 3 goals hasn't Rexy done? She does not have hint arts. She has not done 2 fountains. And she has not done boxer shorts. Rexy is going to be done within the next 10 minutes or so. The problem, so like, yes, hint arts require game knowledge, and yes, this one in particular is one of the easiest to actually execute and find. The thing is that our runners are using the cheat sheet, and they have all the stuff in front of them. So like, the one in Cascade is also pretty easy to find overall. The one in Sand is ridiculous. The one in Snow is not bad. Or the one in the Snow Kingdom art's not bad for Lost Kingdom. The one Metro to Lake is not terrible. Obviously, the Seaside to Metro one is one of the easiest, but I really hope that Rob is not going for Kingdom Peace here. Because if he is, in fact, going for Kingdom Peace, he's going to be here a while. And it's a lost cause for him. So this is going to be his 5th Toad Moon. This is not, hopefully this is his 5th. This is not the end of the world. This being his 5th Toad Moon. I don't love it, but it is far from the end of the world. We haven't talked about Pika in a while. Pika's in Lost, so Pika should pretty easily make it to Metro. Which, honestly, for a first time doing bingo in Odyssey, and realistically, first time in a long time playing Odyssey, from what it sounds like from Pika, is honestly a pretty good job. All in all. Right, so Rexy is now in Lake to do presumably hint arts. I don't know which hint arts she has picked up. So I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what Pika's going for here. The quickest shop is going to be whatever kingdom you are in when you hit 1,000 coins. There is never a world where you want to travel to another kingdom just to use the shop. Or at least to use the coin shop. Alright, Rexy's got one hint art, Moon. So she picked up the Metro hint art, and I just didn't clock that. And then I believe she picked up the one in Snow Kingdom, which is a Lost Kingdom Moon. So, not sure on that where we're going or what her plan is. I'm assuming she's just gonna go to Lost. She could probably get to 1,000 coins pretty easily in Lost Kingdom. And assuming that that's what she's doing, she is done at like a 2. Oh, she's going to Metro. She's gonna have like a 235x or a low 236x. Rexy is gonna get it literally right now. So now she just needs to get the boxer shorts. She needs 47 coins. What is the best way to grab 47 coins in Metro? I don't actually know the answer to that question. Hilariously. Gamba, maybe? Slot machines? She's just gonna have to run around and pick up coins and hope she finds enough, honestly. Oh no, not the bonk. Meanwhile, Pika appears to be looking for his last 2 moons to finish out Lost Kingdom here. If Pika's gonna manage to finish over half the goals, which is pretty good, pretty solid. If I was Pika, I would not be able to complain about this show. And I have to imagine that Pika's having fun. I sure hope he's having fun. All of our runners are having fun, not just Pika, obviously. Because the whole point of this is, Alright, so she's not going to get a low 236 at this point. She should just, like, pick up some freestanding moons. If she didn't get any freestanding moons in, like, the, like, actual kingdom, she's not going to really have a lot of options there. Climbing the tower is a good idea, actually. She could climb the tower. There's a Luigi in the pool. And there's coins right here. Or there's a Luigi on the restaurant. There's a Luigi somewhere around here. Yeah, I think the Luigi's like right over here. Maybe where in the heck is the Luigi? The Luigi should give her like 50 coins. 20 or 50 coins, I don't remember. But it looks like she didn't know about it. I think it might be in the pool. But I don't remember. Right, I don't know what Rob is looking for in Snow. Regionals, I guess? But he should have just done regionals while he was in the sub areas. But to each their own. Alright, is Rexy at 1,000 coins? Yeah, Rexy is going to have the boxer shorts and be done here in just a second. Can I call time on Rexy? GG's to Rexy, who has finished Blackout. It's not even really a race, but she has won. It's a race. Cool. I realize that this is not my own stream. You guys can't see me. I'm doing air quotes around it. I don't know if we're pulling people in after they finish. I mean, I'll just wait and see what people say in Discord. Pika has finished Lost. Good for him. He's gonna... Rexy's got the good old sleeping pose going on. Alright, so Pika is gonna have to do Night Metro. Hopefully he finishes Night Metro and gets a chance to do some good old Day Metro, but Night Metro can take 10 to 15 minutes if you're not familiar with it, so I was really confident that Rob was going to end up with Blackout, but it's not looking likely for him. I don't know what he is looking for. Is he just looking for more coins, or is he looking for the notes? He's got to be looking for the notes, right? He just don't know how to... Oh, does he... I think he figured it out. This is the point where you swallow your pride and you go back and you do things. So, alright, Rexy is headed out. It looks like, so I don't think she's gonna come by and chat at all. Alright, I think Rob has... No. Yes, okay, Rob has swallowed his pride and is headed off. I want to see him do... Okay, Lost is fine. Is that where one of the... Oh, he probably picked up the hint art. So he's probably going to Lost, then to I want to see him do Metro. I'm assuming he's done at least one Key Moon already. So I want to see him... If I was him, I would want to see him go to Metro to do the Key Moon, the timered Key Moon. Also really interesting to me that Rob doesn't know that rolling is the fastest form of movement. Is lawn jumping the fastest form of movement in Super Mario 64? I think it is. I think that's where that comes from. I'm assuming that Rob managed to grab that and is off now. Yes, he's off to Metro, so he's going to get 2 hint arts. If Rob makes good decisions, he is still in this. He's not as far out of this as I thought he was. I don't know exactly what moonset Rob has done in Metro, but if he has not completed the Key Moon in Metro, he has not finished the Note Moon in Metro, and he has not, what is the other goal he hasn't done? Yeah. He should theoretically be able to complete the entire board in Metro here. Pika is putting in a pretty strong effort, for sure. He is chugging away through Night Metro at this point. It's unfortunate in terms of timing for where Pika's at, because Night Metro is just not interesting. It is like one of the least interesting parts of all of Bingo. So it's unfortunate, but there's really just not a lot to talk about on Pika's end. What is Rob doing? Is Rob's probably looking at the cheat sheet now. He's leaving Metro. I'm not so sure about this decision. He's back to sand. There is the one on the tree in the Oasis. Did he not do this moon? He didn't do the Key Moon here? I swear I thought everyone did it. I swear I saw everyone do it. Maybe we only saw Rexy do it, and I just assumed that Rob also did it. But I think this is a post-Peace Moon. I can double check. Yeah, this is a post-Peace Moon. Granted, this board had Sand Peace as a goal, so doing things post Peace and Sand is not a huge deal, and in fact, like, just a good decision. Sand is also one of those kingdoms where, in terms of, like, Bingo, it's pretty easy and it's pretty common and pretty natural to just kind of push Peace anyway. It just depends kind of on the board. There's a lot of things that you can do in Sand, largely by design by Bingo design. And it's especially in Blackout context, you will often see people pushing Peace in Sand. A lot of times, if they can avoid it, they might not do Peace in Sand. It's one of those longer goals. Actually, I wonder how long of a... Sand Peace is a goal of the sixth longest category, I guess. As long as Rob just needs notes, he's fine. Yeah. I'm actually very curious how the balance for this board is determined. I wonder if it is, like, length-related, difficult. I assume it's probably length. All things considered, like, the balance on the... I talked about it a little bit, but the Odyssey board is really well curated. And really well done. You know, we talked earlier in the run. I don't know if everyone in chat was here at the time, but a lot of lines are very similar in terms of length or difficulty. And that's by design, because every line is designed to be approximately equivalent, so you can make your choice. And, you know, we talked about kind of just how much, like, synergy plays a role, and in choosing multiple, like, single or multiple lines, and then, like, going from there, because, like, goals are typically, like, graded in a vacuum. You look at how difficult the goal is on its own, or how long it takes to accomplish the goal on its own, and then, like, lines become easier or harder based on the goals that are in them, which is kind of the whole point of bingo. So, like, if I was going for lines on this, I think my order of preference for lines would have been row 5, because the purple coin synergy with in Two Kingdoms plus 4 souvenirs is pretty rad. If you're feeling up for it, you could even roll cancel clip into the inverted pyramid in sand to skip a decent chunk of sand, or a small chunk of sand story to go faster, to restore world peace a little quicker. After that, I probably would have... I don't know what Rob has in mind for coin grinding. I am not familiar with coin grinding strats. He could be going for the slots. I suggested slots earlier. That was mostly a joke. But I don't know. I forget. Oh, there's this... He could go for the Sphinx Vault if he hasn't done that yet. I don't think he has. Sphinx Vault has about 100 coins, I believe. Not repeatable, but that's, you know, 100 coins right there. These rings are decent. We'll get him a decent chunk of coins. Yeah, he needs to not die, of course, but... Anyway, back to talking about lines while we wait for... Oh, did Pika pause, or did Pika just... I'm not sure what's up with Pika. Does he not want to fight Mecha Wiggler? I don't blame him, if so. But, yeah. So I was saying row 5 would be my first line go-to, because it doesn't require you to go past Wooded. Which is really fast. Then I think I would go for column 1. Column 1 is a little more... But there's some really good synergies with that. 2 moons from keys isn't great. I could also see going for top left, bottom right. But my biggest issue with top left, bottom right... Oh, there's way more than 100 coins in here. He's good. I thought there were less coins than that in there. Top left, bottom right's biggest problem is the 10 regional coins in Cap Kingdom. That's like a last resort type of goal. It's not the biggest deal. Like, it's not like a huge problem. It's a pretty fast goal, all things considered, but when you are putting that up against like actually making progress on the game, like in the game. GG's to Rob, who has just finished. Having to backtrack all the way there is not the greatest thing in the world. Are we gonna get to see Pika try to fight Mecha Wiggler, or are we? Did I just pause the whole timer by accident? The whole timer stopped, and I don't know why. Just gonna undo that because I think our layouts are just being buggy. All right, it looks like we are pulling people in.
Hi.
Howdy.
Actually, I just joined on my own, so.
Oh, we didn't drag you guys in.
Nah, I didn't need.
Oh yeah, you both have the ability to put yourselves in this VC.
Yeah. Oh boy, I did it in time.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, Rexy had much better routing though.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit on stream. You had better execution largely, minus like crucial, like difficult execution mistakes and stuff like that. But you ceded so much time on routing.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I don't know. I couldn't tell you where the music note moons are or where.
That's why you have the cheat sheet, Rob.
I didn't want to use the cheat sheet until I had to.
Okay, so you just handicapped yourself.
Sure, I don't know. I felt like an over reliance on the cheat sheet would slow me down more than going about things naturally.
That's fair, I
So I
suppose.
didn't use the cheat sheet until around the 2 hour mark.
That explains a lot, honestly.
I definitely didn't use the. I definitely used the cheat sheet once I got to snow and seaside, and that's when I was like, "Oh shit, there's no key moons here."
Yeah.
All right.
Hint
How do you
moons
feel?
I wasn't gonna go for unless I knew I could black out, so that's why I just didn't bother with them for
Which
5 hours.
moons did you not
The
go
hint
for?
moons.
Oh, hint moons. Yeah, those
I didn't
aren't.
bother with the hint moons until I knew with certainty if I was gonna black out or not.
That's fair. There are two really early hint art moons that you can do. So
Okay.
it's not
I
really
wasn't sure where the hint art was. I wasn't sure
yeah.
if you had to look at the
The
hint
problem
art
with the two
first.
early ones is that one of them is the Sand Kingdom hint art, which is an obnoxious location to get to, and
Isn't that
actually
just in
like
the middle of nowhere?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So
That's why I was looking at Lost or the Lost in Metro, and I was like, damn,
yeah, those are pretty easy.
those are
Cascades is
clues
also
where I
pretty
wasn't sure
good.
what those were. But yeah, overall, I'm happy with how I did. The routing was rough, but it's also the first time I've touched this game in I think
Yeah.
a year or so.
I mean, feetless and like without and like relatively blind blackout in 3 hours is solid.
Yeah.
What about you, Pika? How do you feel?
So I will state that I have not used the cheat sheet a single time. I'm not sure why I didn't. I probably should have. So with that considered, considering I haven't played this game since like back when it was released, I think I did better than I expected, to be honest. Like getting 13 goals. That I think that's decent.
Yeah,
Oh, that's very decent.
yeah, I said like on stream that like getting over halfway to blackout in 3 hours, after having like largely not touched the game since release, like you said, is overall pretty solid. And then factoring in no cheat sheet is even better.
I will say that something that did sort of help is definitely the fact that we were all like in our own VCs, like just kind of chatting with each other, especially
Yeah.
like in the first half of the run.
For sure.
Which did help, like occasionally just getting some things out of the way. But yeah, I think everyone did pretty well as far as I can see. And I think it just because Super Mario Odyssey is a game that you know once you get adjusted to the controls and the movement, you get a hang of it, and then yeah, I think you can go well from there. And I'm surprised at how quickly you can progress in the game, even despite me not being very experienced with it.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I really enjoy Odyssey Bingo is just how like I think Odyssey is probably one of the best bingo games that has been released in like the past like decade potentially. Just because of the way the game is built out and the way that the bingo itself has naturally kind of been built out for as a result of that.
Yeah, I could definitely see why, like seeing this, why Super Mario Odyssey is a very bingo friendly game, and you know that means that if there's anyone who like I think from my perspective if there's anyone who wants to get into bingo, I think that's a very good choice to get started with, because even with very little knowledge you can still have fun with it.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that if you've got game knowledge, that can make it that much more fun, because obviously people like me were kind of slowed down by the fact that I didn't have knowledge, but even with that in 3 hours that was still a good time. And then if you have the knowledge you can then utilize that with the speedrun route that you might be aware of, and then really combine that into some really nice stuff from there.
Yeah, another one of the things I really enjoy about like being a even like a fringe Odyssey player is that kind of the skill set really transfers really well across whatever you do, because ultimately I in Odyssey just period movement is king. Like like if you have better movement and you don't get significantly outrouted in bingo, you will typically outperform just on execution. Or if you do cool movement strats, you could do cool things. Um, but you know, it's bingo, so obviously routing is really important still.
Mm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was. I knew Odyssey was a decent bingo game, but I think now I'm starting to realize that honestly, it might be my favorite of the 3D Mario's for bingo. And I have experience with like, especially 64 bingo. I have experience with,
I
not
think
Mm.
it's just
necessarily
kind of
playing,
the.
but watching Sunshine and Galaxy.
I
Odyssey
think
bingo
that
is really
Sunshine
fun.
might hold a candle to Odyssey just because it is like probably the second most open, quote unquote, game, and like the
Right.
bingo is really well developed for it.
Mhm.
But um, Odyssey also just has like the general benefit of being a newer game, so it is like everything is just that much more flushed out and that much more kind of like from a game mechanic standpoint. Like movement feels generally so much better in Odyssey and tighter than a lot of the other 3D Marios, and the game itself is generally more accessible. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I think those were a fun few hours to play, and I think there was a really solid choice of a game to do.
I still can't get over the fact that you guys handicapped yourselves by just not using the cheat sheet.
I think for me it was mainly that I was overwhelmed by the cheat sheet, to be honest.
That's fair.
Um, Especially because I did, at least when I started, I didn't really have any clue of what most of the terminology on it was. That's why I felt even more overwhelmed with all the spreadsheets. I was like, oh god, what is all of this?
No,
By the time,
the sheet can definitely be a little overwhelming at first, but once you like look at a board and start to kind of understand what's going on, generally the cheat sheet becomes a lot more helpful.
I think
It's
probably if it.
also
Oh, go ahead.
I know for me at least, one of the other things was like there were so many goals here to like keep track of in the long term of things.
Yeah.
Like, let's see here. We had music notes to keep track of. We had the wooden crates to keep track of, Captain Toad,
Not
timer
8-bit, the
challenges,
Story
8-bit
Moon.
moons.
8-bit moons, moons from keys,
Yeah.
moons from hint arts, souvenirs. So like that's a lot of things that you would have to check for every single kingdom essentially. So in my mind, what I said was okay, I made my notes document to keep track of things. I wrote down every category. And I just went around and got the ones that I could remember,
Yeah.
as well as any that I just happened to stumble on. Like there was
That's
one moon, I forgot what it was. I think it was in Lake Kingdom that I just stumbled on. It was like a music note and an 8-bit combination.
yeah.
And I was like, damn, that was a good find because I
Yeah.
had no idea that
There
was
are
there.
tons of synergies like that. Fun fact: you could complete the um 2 moons from keys exclusively using moons that are also timer challenges.
Yeah, I could buy that.
So,
So it's just one
I
of those
didn't even
things
know
where
that. I
knowing.
only put that together from scouring cheat sheet during commentary.
And it's funny because like that second key moon I got that, and then I'm like, all right, let's find my last timer challenge. And I'm looking, I'm like, wait, what I just got was a timer challenge? Oh,
Yeah.
cool. I'll just mark that off for free.
Yeah.
And then of course I've been struggling with the 8-bit ones. I go to get my last music note, and it's an 8-bit one. I'm like, well, guess
Yeah.
I get to do 8-bits.
And then 8-bit moons from 8-bit sections is surprisingly challenging in bingo overall. You think that there would be more options for it than there actually are.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know there were a couple more in Seaside I could have done.
Yeah.
And I know the other one that I had slightly considered, but was like, no, it's not worth it, was the Festival of Metro.
Festival is such a hard thing to gauge. We talked about festival in with chat a little bit. There is um the Odyssey main board stuff uses SRL generation, so it has the 25 difficulty groups, and the festival goal is Metro World Peace. Is in the 25th difficulty category. It is considered one of the longest possible goals in the normal bingo category.
Oh, if it's
So,
I don't think it's actually that long. I think
well, the
without
problem
no,
is that it's a really long sequence within Metro itself, and Metro is really deep for normal bingo.
I think without skips, World Peace Sand might be longer than World Peace Metro. At least
Well,
it
you're
felt like
looking
it
at
took
them in a vacuum
forever.
on the at the kingdom level. You have to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
to Metro is the
yeah. Well,
problem.
getting to Metro is not
So,
difficult.
it's a lot longer than World Peace Sand though,
I guess. I don't
because you
know.
have to do Lake and Wooded also then, and Bowser and Lost.
Well, yeah.
So,
I just felt like World Peace Sand took forever.
World Peace Sand feels more like a slog than it is actually in terms of length. The whole underground section feels a lot longer than it is sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't particularly feel that was longer, but I don't know. It's because I forgot how the rest of the game is, and therefore I'm not sure. I don't have much to compare to. But yeah, it's. I thought that was fine.
The other thing with like Festival Moon is that the musician story moons pull you out of Metro proper every time you get one of them. So it's a routing challenge like within Metro
Hmm.
because you just get teleported back to Pauline's building every time.
Yeah.
A musician, and they're obnoxious cutscenes.
In hindsight, I shouldn't have done the instruments. Just
Okay,
because
you did do musicians. Okay,
I did musicians
we were
because
wondering because you did a bunch of day Metro while you weren't on stream. so we weren't sure if anyone did musicians.
Yeah, I got all 4 of them. That's how I got my story moons.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I wish I didn't, since I then, because it was like those were my last 4 story moons. But then I uncorked 2 fountains, which was 2 story moons.
Yep.
And then I did 2 barriers and snow, which was 2 story moons. And it's like, damn.
Yeah.
And the
For sure.
instruments don't take that long. But
Yeah. They're usually pretty good candidates for moons in Metro, but this board also like prescribed like 75% of the moons for Metro to you.
mhm.
So
All right, yeah. Are there any final thoughts that we can share before we go? Because I think we'll need to wrap up soon. But yeah, I mean, my final thoughts is that I had a lot of fun, and yeah, I think if there's anyone who like wants try to get into bingo, I think that's probably a fun game to get started with.
My final thoughts is that Rexy beat me by 15 minutes, and that's after taking a 10-minute break for food. God damn.
or Rob, just
Rexy
get
is
good
just that
and
good.
then beat her at Bingothon. We'll have a race.
I don't know. If it was closer, maybe, but half an hour, that's a pretty.
Yeah, but she's also done bingo before, so
I
Yeah,
mean,
there's-
I've done this bingo once before, but a long time ago.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, thanks so much everyone for watching. We'll be rating Angry Demon Noises, who's playing some Zelda game, it looked like. I didn't look too closely.
Woo.
Yay! But yeah, this was fun. Try out Odyssey Bingo. Bye everybody.
See ya. I remember everyone. Minecraft next week. Sign up.
Minecraft next week.
Yep. All right. Well.